Welcome to Psychic Bent. My name is Carrie.
And I'm Kim. We are two sisters wanting to help other psychics learn and grow in their abilities and to help educate about spirits, angels, and everything psychic.
Welcome back to Psychic Bent. We are so excited to start this new series that we're going to begin with called the Psychic Toolbox. This is where we're going to be going over different things that you can use your psychic abilities with.
These are divining tools that can enhance your psychic abilities or give you confidence in your psychic abilities.
There you go. That's what we're going to be doing. And we're going to be starting this week off with tarot cards. Before we begin, I did want to say that I know that there has been distortion in the past couple of episodes that I've tried to take care of. We think we might have it fixed. We'll see. We're got Carrie a new microphone, so we're hoping that that works.
Because obviously the distortion's on my end.
Sorry, threw you under the bus there.
Yes, I'm distorted.
But anyway, we just hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Like I said, we will be starting with the tarot, and I'm going to just swing this on over to you, Carrie.
Thank you. Well, tarot, we're not going to learn how to do tarot today. I'm just giving you kind of an overview of what tarot is. Some people are kind of afraid of tarot because they don't really understand what tarot is. If tarot is speaking to you and you really want to get in there and learn how to do tarot, and tarot is basically you're doing reading with tarot cards, and it can really be a way of doing a psychic reading and help build your confidence. So this tool can help you do readings. I usually do tarot just for myself, but you know what? We're doing this. We're learning different things and trying to gain confidence. I had several people at work volunteer to let me do their readings with the tarot, and they were open readings. So we didn't do any questions. It was just basically an open reading of the cards, and they said everything was spot on.
That's great.
Yeah, and Kim, if I may say, was a little afraid of tarot.
Yes.
Yes, and so when they were here in North Carolina visiting, I kind of ambushed her with my tarot cards. And she got a...
She did.
And how accurate was the reading?
It was very good. There was just one thing that we still don't know.
Right. And remember...
everything else was spot on.
Yeah, and you can't be right all the time. So...
Right.
But usually with the cards...
Or it's just not time yet for that to be there.
Exactly.
Does that make sense?
Exactly.
It's not time yet for me to know what that is. There we go.
Yes. So a little backstory on tarot. And like I said, tarot has a lot you have to learn with the cards. There's a lot, you have to understand each individual card, what the meanings could be. So this is why we're not really going to go into a deep dive. A deep dive into tarot would be more than just one podcast. There's wonderful classes out there that you can sign up and take. Some are on, it's an app called Udemy, which is a university type thing, Udemy, where you can sign up for classes, take classes. And they do offer tarot classes on there. You just want to make sure you pick someone who is very reputable and has a good understanding of the cards. Now, tarot,
right, because this isn't like playing poker or anything like that. This is something that you have to study this because there's a lot to it. There's a lot of symbolisms and
the cards are very detailed. And there's pictures on each card. There's, the card has a name. There's a number. There's very detailed pictures. So you're interpreting the pictures, the suit the card is, the number, so is it the card straight up? Is it upside down, which we call reverse? So there's a lot to it. And once you gain confidence with it, it can really be a nice way to break into doing readings. So let me just tell you a little history of tarot. Now, of course, it's kind of the origin's a little unsure. We do know it was sometime in the 15th century that tarot was actually a card game, very popular. And in the late 18th and 19th centuries, the cards were discovered by a number of influential scholars of the occult. And these explorers were fascinated by the tarot and recognized that the images on the cards were more powerful than a simple game would suggest. And they also created the true history of tarot by connecting the cards to Egyptian mysteries, Hermetic philosophy, the Cabal, alchemy, and other mystical systems. Now, in the 15th century, the wealthy would actually, because the cards would obviously be hand-painted, and the wealthy would commission artists to make them very fancy tarot cards, to be more unique, and of course have to outdo someone else's tarots. So that was kind of a status thing, because that was a big game that they played. I couldn't find any reference to tarot in this period being done in England. I know in Italy, in France, it was a game that was played during this period, but it also could tie into the religious reform that went on in England during this time period.
Right.
Side note on that. Now, the most popular deck is the Rider-Waite tarot deck, and Arthur Edward Waite collaborated with an illustrator named Pamela Coleman Smith to create the Rider-Waite deck in England in 1910. Now, most people do use the Rider-Waite deck. I have 2 decks of tarot. I do have a Rider-Waite deck, and I do have another deck that is just pretty. Isn't it pretty? What's the one I used for you for your reading?
Yeah.
It's got gold. It's gold foil and very pretty and shiny.
Yeah,
but
it is.
Yeah, so you don't need to have 2 decks. You can have one. They do have some tarot decks that also have been, in the past decades, geared towards Native American magic, different categories. But the main one, it looks like the Rider-Waite deck. That's like we talked about earlier, it's usually known as a tool for divining information. Now, how this works is you have to have, obviously, a seeker, which is someone who has a question or just wants a reading, and you have to have a reader who can obviously interpret the cards. Now, the seeker shuffles the deck, and the reader lays out the chosen cards, and basically the chosen cards are the ones on top. And they lay it out in what they call a spread, which is a simple pattern that you're going to use for reading the card. And there's many different ones, different patterns that can be done. And then the reader combines the 2 meanings to shed the light on the seeker's questions. So you've got the position the card is in, like if it's a future spot, and then you have the specific card. So you're taking the meaning of the future and that card and you're putting it together. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it does.
All right. Okay, so a standard deck of tarot cards is 78 cards, and they're divided into 2 sections. You have your major arcana and you have your minor arcana. Now, arcana is plural for arcanum, which means profound secret. In the Middle Ages, arcanum was the secret of nature. I thought that was interesting, so I wanted to throw that in. You have 22 cards of the deck that are major arcana, and they are the heart of the deck. Each of these cards symbolize some universal aspect of human experience. They represent the archetypes, consistent direct patterns of influence that are inherent part of human nature. So if you get a major arcana that shows up in your reading, that's giving you a little extra weight on this reading. When that card appears, because think about it, there's so many more of the minor cards than there are the major cards, so the chance that they show up in a reading are going to be a little slimmer. So basically, when it appears, the issues at stake are not mundane or temporary. They represent your most basic concerns, your major feelings, and motivation.
Right. I'm still a little confused on the major arcana versus the minor arcana. So, like, the major arcana is like major life events, or like what? Give me an example of what a major arcana is. what would be considered a major arcana. Does that make sense?
Well, yeah, I'm gonna go over what each one is, but basically, let's just pick if the Empress shows up in the reading, and of course, it depends on where it is on the where you've laid the cards out. But like the Empress is just for mothering, abundance, senses, and nature. It's so much more than that. I'm just giving you some keywords.
Right, right.
You know,
So,
I'm not going to go deep into what everyone is because it's an hour we got.
right. So it could
No,
be
and it's
something involving nature around you or something, right?
well, the Empress could be mothering. It could be abundance. It could be nature. It could be one of
Okay.
those four. You know, it could be
Okay.
senses. It depends on where it's at in the reading,
Okay.
and of course what you're coming up with psychically.
All right.
So keywords are 3 to 5 words or phrases that capture the main theme of the cards. And then you have actions, which are descriptions, some way the energy of each card manifests. Reverse, like I mentioned earlier, is when the card is reversed, the same energy is present, but at a low level. It's expressing strongly and freely, or it could be blocked, restricted, incomplete, or otherwise reduced in some way. So that basically says, okay, if you, like the Empress card we were talking about,
Uh-huh.
if that card was reversed, then that could refer to one of the 4 items I mentioned. It could refer to the senses. Okay, is there something wrong with your senses? What's going on? Just basically is saying that that card is no longer amplified. It's more toned down. There's something wrong. There's something going on here.
Gotcha. Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. So description is the major arcana descriptions tend to be more general and philosophical, where the minor arcana descriptions are more concrete and everyday. So if you get a major arcana, it's concrete, but it may not pertain to today.
Gotcha. Okay.
You know, and again, it depends on where it's at in the spread.
Right.
Opposing cards, some cards are listed in your training that might form an opposing pair with that given card if it appears in a reading. So when you dive into the actual minor arcanas, especially your opposing cards could be like, I'm just going to draw out 5 of Wands as an example. Opposing cards to this would be Temperance, the World, which those 2 are major arcanas, and then 2 of Cups, 2 of Pentacles, and 3 of Pentacles. So that's an example of what could be an opposing card to the card that you have.
Okay.
And like Temperance would bring balance, agreement, working together, where 5 of Wands is an action card. So it's basically, you could be being torn by dissension. There could be a rise to the challenge. It could be having a minor setback. But then the opposite card, if you had 2 of Cups, was truce, agreement, and coming together. So you could be having an argument, and there will be a truce, agreement, and then coming together.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
That makes sense. Yeah. Okay.
So a reinforcing card, those cards are listed that might form a reinforcing pair or a given card when it appears in a reading.
Okay. But I think that makes sense, though. It reinforces what the cards are saying in that particular thing.
Yeah. Okay, so then you have your court card pairs. And court cards form natural pairs because of their distinctive personalities. The pairs are based on the ranks and suits of the 2 court cards. So you do have, when you do the tarot, it's like a deck of cards. You have ace through king.
Okay.
You have a page, you have a knight, you have a queen, you have a king. You know, so you have those, it's like a deck of cards.
Okay.
You know, so if you have a pair of court cards, the pairs are based on the ranks and suits of the 2 court cards for what they really mean. Ace pairs, 2 aces indicate a unique chance to grow in a new direction that taps energy of both of those suits. So the suit would either be wand, cups, sword, or pentacle.
Oh, okay. That makes sense. Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to dive into the major arcanas. I'm just going to list what they are. They are numbered 0 through 21.
Okay.
And they are in order. So I'm going to give you 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the number 0 is Fool. That's a Fool card. Now that card, and I'm just going to give you 4 keywords off that. I'm not going to do a deep dive into these cards. This is just try to take some of the fear of the cards, fear of tarot out of the picture. So if it's something that sounds like this is really interesting, I want to learn it. It's really a fun divining tool. I don't want it to get so technical that it scares you from learning it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, because there is a lot to learn with it.
Okay.
And you have to
There
have
is
a
a
good
lot
book.
to learn, but you could do yeah, a good book, a good teacher, an online course, whatever works for however you learn the best. But it's kind of a fun little journey because with me, I always like to. What could this mean? When you're doing a reading on yourself, you're like deep diving into that. You're like, oh, what could this card mean? And, it was kind of fun for me to learn that way. So the Fool, 0 card, beginning, spontaneity, faith, apparent folly. Now, are those the 4 words you would have thought for Fool?
Apparent folly, possibly.
Possibly.
Maybe
yeah.
Spontaneity. Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah.
So Magician is the number 1 card. Now, the Magician, the 4 words I'm going to just use is action, conscious awareness, concentration, and of course, power. High Priestess is the number 2 card, and that is non-action, unconscious awareness, potential, and mystery. The Empress, which is number 3, like we said, is mothering, abundance, senses, and nature. Emperor is number 4, fathering, structure, authority, and regulation. Hierophant is number 5, and that is education, belief system, conformity, and group identification. The Lovers, number 6, can reflect relationship, sexuality, personal belief, and value. Chariot is number 7, and that is victory, will, self-assertion, and hard control. Strength is number 8, and strength obviously means strength, patience, compassion, soft control. Hermit is number 9. Hermit is introspection, searching, guidance, and solitude. That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Yep. Wheel of Fortune is number 10, and that is destiny, turning point, movement, personal vision. Justice, number 11, is justice, responsibility, decision, and cause and effect. Hangman, number 12, is letting go, reversal, suspension, and sacrifice.
Well, that one's interesting.
Number 13, Death card is number 13. Now, the Death card, what do you think that means?
Well, ending of something.
Ending of something. So ending's number 1. My first one, transitioning into something or transition, elimination, inexorable forces. So most people freak out with the Death card. It doesn't mean you personally are going to die. It just means something's ending and something else is beginning.
Right.
Or something's being eliminated from your life. It could be a person. It could be a toxic relationship. It could be you're going to lose your job and start a new path.
Yep. And that's
So,
death. It's the death of something.
Yeah.
To the start of new.
Yes.
So.
Right. Exactly. It doesn't mean that, I pulled this card on you and now I'm going to tell you you've got 1 to 2 years to live.
Right.
Because that would not be an honest tarot reading. So it's basically ending, transition, elimination, inexorable forces. Now, Temperance is number 14. And of course, we have temperance, balance, health, and combination.
Combination. What does that mean in this?
So combination is meaning combining forces.
Okay.
So it could be joining with other people, getting it all together, that kind of stuff.
Okay, that makes sense. I just didn't know what combination meant in relation to
Combination
that.
of what?
Yeah, right, exactly. What are we combining? You know? Okay, cool.
The next card is the Devil, number 15. This card scares people because it's named what? The Devil.
Right.
Now, it means bondage, it can mean materialism, ignorance, hopelessness.
Oh, that sounds about right.
But does it sound scary?
No. But I could see where you would have those based on that card.
Right. The next one is Tower, which is number 16. And that is sudden change, release, downfall, and revelation. We have Star, which is number 17. Hope, inspiration, generosity, serenity. Moon, which is number 18. Fear, illusion, imagination, and bewilderment. Sun is number 19. Enlightenment, greatness, vitality, and assurance. Now, Judgment is number 20. Judgment, rebirth, inner calling, absolution. And the final major arcana is the World, which is card 21, which is integration, accomplishment, involvement, and fulfillment.
Cool.
Now, I have to tell you, New Year's Day, got the tarot out, and I did a Celtic Cross open reading, which required 10 cards to be drawn.
Mm-hmm.
And my final card was Judgment.
Okay, Judgment.
Which of course is judgment, rebirth, inner calling, absolution.
Mm-hmm.
And that made no sense to me. I'm like, what? Why is that?
Yeah.
And until a month later, and it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, share a personal item with the listeners. In February, 2 days after Valentine's Day, my husband decided he wanted a divorce. So the Judgment card was right there.
Yep.
Like, well, okay, here we go. That's what that meant. So see how good the tarot card can do? I mean, it did make sense to me on New Year's Day.
However, you're missing the other one, the other part of that, the inner calling.
And what's it?
The inner calling.
The inner calling.
We started a podcast. Exactly.
And we did a deep dive into our own spiritual growth.
Right.
Yeah. So we have that. Rebirth. Well, what do you do when you get out of a relationship like that?
You start anew.
You start anew.
Reborn.
And you can change yourself. So it was like, okay, that was spot on. Now, in January, it made no sense. So just a personal note that how things you can get a reading and it doesn't make sense till later.
Right, exactly.
So then we're going to dive into the minor arcanas. And basically, you're going to have your suits, like I spoke of earlier, from Ace to King, those cards. And the suits are Wands, Cups, Swords, and Pentacles. What I'm going to do in this is I'm just going to start with Ace, and then I'm going to just tell you the 4 keywords for Ace of Wands, Ace of Cups, Ace of Swords, and Ace of Pentacles. Instead of going through each individual, I just think it'll flow better that way.
Okay, sounds good.
So Ace of Wands means creative force, enthusiasm, confidence, and courage. Ace of Cups, emotional force, intuition, intimacy, and love. Ace of Sword, mental force, fortitude, justice, and truth. Ace of Pentacles is material force, prosperity, practicality, and trust. Two of Wands is personal power, boldness, originality. Two of Cups is connection, truth, attraction. Two of Swords is blocked emotions, avoidance, and stalemate. Two of Pentacles is juggling, flexibility, fun. Three of Wands is exploration, insight, and leadership. Three of Cups, exuberance, friendship, community. Three of Swords, heartbreak, loneliness, and betrayal. We don't like that card.
Nope.
Three of Pentacles is teamwork, planning, and competence. Four of Wands is celebration, freedom, and excitement. Four of Cups is self-absorption, apathy, and going within. Four of Swords, rest, contemplation, quiet preparation. Four of Pentacles, possessiveness, control, blocked, change. Five of Wands is disagreement, competition, hassles. Five of Cups is loss, bereavement, and regret. Five of Swords is self-interest, discord, open dishonor. Five of Pentacles is hard times, ill health, rejection. So Six of Wands means triumph, acclaim, pride. Six of Cups, goodwill, innocence, childhood. Six of Swords, the blues, recovery, travel. Six of Pentacles, having, not having, resources, knowledge, power. Seven of Wands is aggression, defiance, and conviction. Seven of Cups is wishful thinking, options, dissipation. Seven of Swords is running away, lone wolf style, hidden dishonor. Seven of Pentacles is assertment, reward, and direction change. Eight of Wands is quick action, conclusion, and news. Eight of Cups is deeper meaning, move on, weariness. Eight of Swords is restriction, confusion, powerless. Eight of Pentacles is diligence, knowledge, and detail. Nine of Wands is defensiveness, perseverance, and stamina. Nine of Cups, wish fulfillment, satisfaction, sensual pleasure. Nine of Swords is worry, guilt, and anguish. Nine of Pentacles is discipline, self-reliance, refinement. 10 of Wands is overextending, burdens, and struggle. 10 of Cups is joy, peace, and family. 10 of Swords is bottoming out, victim mentality, or martyrdom. 10 of Pentacles is affluence, permanence, and convention. That 9 of Pentacles get you?
Yeah, it did. I don't want that card.
All right. Well, you didn't get that card, so it was okay when you're reading.
That's right.
Yes. So Page of Wands is be creative, be enthusiastic, be confident, be courageous. Page of Cups is be emotional, be intuitive, be intimate, be loving. The Page of Swords is use your mind, be truthful, be just, have fortitude. Page of Pentacles, have an effect, be practical, be prosperous, be trusting, and trustworthy. So on the Knight, I've got a positive and a negative. The Knight positive is charming, self-confident, daring, adventurous, passionate. That is for Wands. The negative for Wands would be superficial, cocky, foolhardy, restless, and hot-tempered. The positive, okay. The positive for the Knight of Cups is romantic, imaginative, sensitive, refined, and introspective. The negative for the Knight of Cups is over-emotional, fanciful, temperamental, over-refined, introverted. The positive for the Knight of Swords is direct, authoritative, inclusive, knowledgeable, logical. The negative is blunt, overbearing, cutting, opinionated, and unfeeling. That's harsh. The Knight of Pentacles, the positive is unwavering, cautious, thorough, realistic, and hardworking. The negative for the Knight of Pentacles is stubborn, unadventurous, obsessive, pessimistic, and grinding.
Okay,
now,
so how do you know it's positive or negative on that one, on those? I mean, is it if one's reversed, changes it into the negative meaning?
Well, no, because the reversed is basically going to be more of the opposite of what the card is. So you can, for your actions, you can, like romantic, I'm doing the Knight of Cups. And romantic, you could be having idealized love or lack of self-restraint. It's kind of it's a dual card. So it could mean like sensitive and temperamental. So you could have, are you prone to mood swings? That would be the negative part of it. You're not going to ask, you're not going to ask that in a reading, but it's, when I do a reading, it's kind of what pops up to me for that particular card. So if a negative pops up, that's what I'm going to go with. Being, do you take, you take offense easily, or, you get
Right.
overwhelmed by pressure. That would be the negative.
Gotcha.
If,
Okay.
if the positive popped out at me during a reading, then it could be more like, well, you create a pleasing environment, So it's kind of what that card can mean in different ways.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Knight card, it kind of has, I think some importance to it because it could go either way.
Right. Right. And
you
it
know.
just really depends on the reader, what they
Yeah, and
intuitively pick up on
right.
what that could mean. Gotcha.
And
Which way to
it
go with that.
also could mean the placement of the card. Because if that
Right.
card is in the past, well, in the past, you might have been overbearing,
Right. Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay.
or you're very, temperamental, or, very self-confident or charming, or, it really, the placement of that card is very important as well.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay. Now we have the Queen. So the Queen of Wands is attractive, wholehearted, energetic, cheerful, and self-assured. The Queen of Cups is loving, tender-hearted, intuitive, psychic, and spiritual. That's a good card. The
I
Queen of
had that one.
Swords. Yep, you did. The Queen of Swords is honest, astute, forthright, witty, and experienced. The Queen of Pentacles is nurturing, big-hearted, down-to-earth, resourceful, and trustworthy. The King of Wands is creative, inspired, forceful, charismatic, and bold. The King of Cups is wise, calm, diplomatic, caring, and tolerant. The King of Swords is intellectual, analytical, articulate, just, and ethical. And then the
I
King
had
of
that one.
You did. And the King of Pentacles is enterprising, adept, reliable, supporting, and steady. So that is your basic tarot deck. So we've gone over the major and the minor arcanas. Hopefully they're not as scary anymore because you got an idea what these cards are going to mean. Now, I recommend writing down when you get a tarot reading because it can get confusing.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I told Kim, I said, now you need to do this because we're doing the position of the spread meaning plus the actual cards meaning, and it
Right.
can get confusing.
Right.
Like
because you're not only talking about the suit, you're talking about the number, you're talking about if it's a major or minor, and past, present, future, whatever.
right, and there's so many different factors, like a Celtic cross spread. Now that is the most common spread. This one has 10 positions, so you're going to use 10 cards in this particular spread. But each part means something. So the position number 1, which is in the middle of the table, so to speak, you're going to have a card in the middle, and that is the heart of the matter. It represents the environment. It could be outer or inner environment, and primary factor. Now, position number 2 is that card. It lays over the card you just put down in position 1. So you have position 1 card is straight up. Position 2 is going east to west.
Okay.
And so the position 2 would be the opposing factor, factor for change, secondary factors, or reinforcing factors. And then right below your 1 and 2 card is where position 3 is. Now, position 3 is the root cause, unconscious influences, deeper meaning, unknown factor. Then to the left of the number 1 and 2 card, so we're going to the left, so we're basically going to make a diamond around 1 and 2. So to the left of number 1, you have position 4. That is your past. That is receding influences. That's resolved factors. That's quality to let go. Number 5 is above the 1 card, and that is attitudes and beliefs, conscious influences, goals or purpose, alternate future. And number 6 is to the right of the number 1 and 2 card, and that is your future card, and that is approaching influences, unresolved factors, and qualities to embrace. So does that layout make sense? And we'll have that layout on Facebook.
Good, because I was going to suggest that.
Yeah. And then to the right of the 6 cards that you've just laid down, you are going to put 4 cards going in a straight line up. So the number 7 card is on the bottom, and position 7 is you as you are, you as you could be, you as you present yourself, you as you see yourself. So number 7 card is all about you and how you perceive yourself or how you present yourself or how you could be. Number 8 is right above the number 7 card. You place it. Outside environment, another's point of view, another's expectation, and how others see you. And number 9 goes right above number 8. It's guidance, key factors, hopes, and fears, overlooked factors. And number 10 is overcome, overall, outcome, inner state, outcome actions, and outcome effects.
Okay.
So that's how they lay out. And then the reading starts. And how you read the cards, you're not going to read them in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You're going to start with card number 1, which is, like I said, the heart of the matter. And then the opposing card, you're going to, you do number 1, number 2, those get read together. Then you're going to go down to number 3, which again is the root cause and unconscious influences, the deeper meanings. And then you're going to go above the 1 card to 5. And this is how I do it. I'm sure there's different ways of doing this. The number 5 card is remember, is your attitude and beliefs, conscious influences, goal and purpose. So your 5 card and your 3 card can go very well together because you have your root cause, unconscious influences, deeper meaning, unknown factors. And then you have number 5, which is attitude and beliefs, goals and purpose, alternate future, and conscious influences. So they kind of go together. Then you're going to go to the left to number 4. So left to the number 1 card. And again, this is your past card. This is your receding influences. It's your past. It's qualities to let go. And then you're going to hop over to the right to number 6, which is your future card. So you're talking about the past and the future. You have to do those together. So you just gave the past. Now you're going to jump over to number 6. So now we're going to focus on the future. And, the future, the influences, and unresolved factors you might need to work on to step into the future and what qualities to embrace. Does that make sense on how that goes?
I think so.
Okay. And then, of course, position number 7 is where we're going to go to the right, and we're just going to work our way up through there. So that's how you would just basically do 7, 8, 9, 10 in order.
Okay.
Okay?
Yep.
And position 10 was where that judgment card was. For me, it was like, what outcome, overall inner, okay. Which is, what's kind of funny is when I did the readings for some of my friends at work, I had 3 that had 3 major arcanas in their readings.
Wow. Now, is that common or very uncommon?
Well, I'm used to just doing readings for myself, and I thought, well, I need to do this. So I thought it was a little uncommon.
So there's only 22 major arcanas. And getting 3 of them out of how many is in a standard deck of tarot?
The standard deck of tarot cards is 78 cards.
78. Wow.
Yeah. So if you've got 78 cards and you've got 22, the percentages are kind of...
Yeah, to get 3 of them. Wow.
Yeah. Now, when I start the tarot, I want to clear the cards. So, before I even get the reading going, I'm going to either knock them on a table or I'm going to flick them with my finger. Because what I want to do is I want to release energy of who handled the cards last. So I want to clear them so we can get a good reading. Now, how I do is I do normally shuffle the deck, and then I have the person who's getting the reading cut the deck. But I only do it that way so there's not someone accidentally reversing a card. Because if the card shows up reversed, it needs to be this really happened. Not because you dropped the deck and now we have to,
right,
scoop them up. Yeah, so in my mind, that's how I do it. You don't have to do it that way. You can have, the person do the shuffling of the deck. I usually just have them cut the cards and put the cards back together. And then I do start the spread from there.
Okay, cool.
Now, you could do 3-card spreads. You don't have to do this big 10 one. I mean, when you're first starting out, you could do a 3-card spread.
Now,
You have past, present, and future card,
are there
or past, current, and future.
are there examples of the different spreads in a book online?
There's, oh yeah, any book you get or any online, you're going to learn a lot of the different spreads, because it's very important. I'll do a 3-card spread for myself. I usually do that more with my Oracle cards, which we're going to dive into Oracle later. But I usually dive in, I usually do a 3-card spread for my Oracles. And the Tarot, I just feel like I just need to know the heart of the thing. I want it all.
Right.
So I usually just, yeah.
You're wanting more of an in-depth knowledge of the situation that's in store for you.
Right. And, I've done a lot of open readings on myself, and I did open readings for my friends, because people that are my friends and they want to ask a question, I don't want to know sometimes the answers to some of these questions they're asking, because it's personal.
Right. Yeah.
If it's a stranger, it's not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But if it's somebody that I know, like with you, we just did an open reading.
Right.
Well, plus you're also getting, jumped.
Yeah.
You're getting a tarot reading right now. Sit down.
I had no time to prepare for that.
No, and your husband looked funny.
Yeah.
I'm not sure he knew what we were doing.
He's like, what's going on here? Card game, let's play.
Well, yeah, you could be next. Okay, so when you're starting out, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do the big, 10-card Celtic spread. And there's so many different spreads you can do. I have not experimented with the other ones. I just kind of was drawn to the Celtic cross. I don't know why, but so that's kind of the one I like to do. I've never really asked the tarot cards a question and then did a reading, because I just usually do them open.
Okay.
I think I do that more with my pendulum.
Yeah. Well,
I kind of rely more on that. So I'm going to have to do a tarot reading on myself and just ask a question.
Yeah, it would be interesting to see how that works for you.
Yeah. But, I mean, obviously, it's a nice psychic tool to have in your toolbox, especially if you want to start to put yourself out there to do readings. Mm-hmm. This is one way to do, because you're going to get psychic hits while you're doing the reading. So you want to get comfortable enough with all the cards that you don't have to read word for word out of the book or what that card means. What I do is I do have the book, and certain words jump up at me when I'm doing it, and that's what I go with.
Right.
But the more I do this, the less I'll do that. But that's kind of what I've been doing is like, okay, what jumps up? If you're going to go and pay for a tarot reading, that person's not going to do that. They're going to be like, okay, here's your reading, because they know these cards.
Yeah.
Front, back, upside down. They've done many, many readings. So basically, you're going to want to practice these readings on yourself, on other people, build your confidence.
Yeah, because there's so much information in those books. They're a little intimidating when you first get them.
Yes. I found a book online that I liked a lot. I do have also an Udemy course that I had signed up on that goes into tarot a little bit, that I need to go back and rewatch that now that I've done this book. But the book I used is The Big Book of Tarot. And it's basically how to interpret the cards and work with your tarot spreads for personal growth. That's basically the title of the book. And it was by Joan Bunning. And I found her style resonated with the way I learn.
Oh, that's good.
So that's kind of another thing, is how you learn, what makes sense to you. But anything you're going to learn takes time to learn it, just like trying to develop your psychic abilities. You're learning these
right
as you do it. If tarot is not for you, that's no big deal.
Right.
It's because there's other tools you can use. I just wanted to, since we just had the episode on fear, we wanted to take the fear away from what people think tarot is.
Right. Well, take the fear out of all of the toolboxes, all the tools in the toolbox. Yeah. And know that what tools are available for you to use. Right.
A lot of people are going out there going, oh my gosh, now what? I'm developing my clairs. I'm starting to get hits. Now what? Well, you want to build your confidence, and these tools are going to help you build your confidence.
Right. Now, do you do anything pre-reading? For example, do you meditate? Do you Do you do anything before you do the readings for people or for yourself?
Yes. Yes. I want to go into it making sure I've released anything that didn't belong to me. So I'm not projecting somebody else's feelings and emotions with the person that's getting the reading.
Mm-hmm.
It's really funny. The last reading I did at work, we couldn't really find a quiet place to do it. So we did it in the employee dining room.
Oh,
People walking by. And I'm like, well, all right, here we go. And it was funny is if anybody noticed, they didn't gawk.
oh, they didn't.
So no. And bless my friend, she was like, yeah, let's do it here. It's fine. I'm okay with it. I'm like, all right. Because it was like, I couldn't really do it at my desk because I've got cubicles around me,
Right.
So, and the reading's private. And I did the other people in their cubicles that I work with, the ones that I knew were open to it. I didn't just go around asking everybody. I just made sure I, communicate with people that I knew were open with it.
Mm-hmm.
And, so whispering at their desk, but this is what, it was just, okay, So it was kind of like the hush hush tarot reading.
Oh, that's funny.
And then and then the last one is, well, we're in the employee dining room. Let's just do this, Okay. But, we talked about early, in several episodes on how as your confidence grows and you're on the correct path, people come into your path and things happen that are so positive that reinforce this particular path.
Right.
So all the dealings I've had with tarot have been positive for me.
Mm-hmm.
And, even though you get the death card and people want to freak out, or the devil card, and it's like, oh my God. It's like, okay, this is what it means, but you do need to be conscientious in giving a reading, because giving the reading, I did get some things on some people that I did not feel I should share.
Okay.
So I did not share everything that I got on the card because, first of all, I thought some stuff I was getting was, I really don't need to know this about someone I know.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Whereas if it was a complete stranger, and I'm getting a particular card that's kind of like, well, okay, here it is, that would be different.
Right. Because you're not going to see that person again, most likely. So it's just give them the info and let them go.
And you don't know. Yeah. And you don't know them. So you don't know any backstories.
Right.
So when you do practice on someone, do have a little,
decorum.
Yes. Decorum's a good word. Because, your tarot reading should never be negative. You know what? Because, you first of all, you have the opportunity to change the things that card is saying. As long as it's not if it's a past card and you don't like what that, you know what? You can change it by going forward and making these changes.
Right. It's that free will thing.
The free will thing. As people perceive you, card number 8 in the Celtic Cross. Oh, people see me this way. I don't like that. Well, you know what? You can change that.
Yeah.
So the cards can also help you make yourself a better person, or make you more manifesting better. That was poor English. But, so you could, knowing what you need to manifest, or knowing I got a blockage. This card is specifically telling me there's a blockage. So I need to work on that. How can I do that?
Right. That's when you go do your research and find out how to take care of that blockage.
Exactly. So the cards they're giving you guidance. I had a work craft show yesterday, and when I had someone approach me, and again, I ended up doing 2 readings by people that approached me. And once they picked up on the fact that I was psychic, then they were like, really, really, hey, let's talk, kind of thing.
Right.
And poor gentleman shared with me, and he's going to start listening to the podcast, so I'm not mentioning any names or anything. He said he had a friend gave him a tarot reading. This gentleman has a fear of death.
Mm.
And that's not an uncommon fear when you when you're not grounded, for one. You're going to have a fear of death.
Right.
When your chakras are not lined up, you're going to get paranoid. You're going to have all these different things that are going on And he had lost a very close loved one a few months prior. And I'm not sure when the reading happened for this gentleman. He just told me he had a friend give him the reading. And they told him that he was going to die within the next year to two. And I'm like, what?
Oh.
No. That is not a tarot reading. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's something that, maybe it was the death card. And maybe it was in the future position. But again, that doesn't mean death.
Right.
Like you literally dying.
Right. Mm-hmm.
So that is not a tarot reading. So you have to be mindful of how you do interpret these. I mean, so here's this poor guy who has a fear of death. Let's pour some gasoline on that fire.
Yeah.
Oh, you're going to die. Well, we're all going to die. We know that.
Right.
It's going to happen. But we don't know when it's going to happen. And why would you say something to someone during a psychic reading that is going to upset them?
Yeah, that's sad.
Yeah, because that's not a way. I mean, what changes because this person making from this reading?
Exactly.
I mean, all negative changes.
Yeah. Where's the free will?
Or yes. Yeah. Or you might be pushing them into a direction that might bring this prophecy to be.
Correct.
Depending on their state of mind. So I was very firm with this person to say, no. You no. and I don't, I'm like, I'm not getting death on you at all. And even if I was getting it, I wouldn't have said anything.
Yeah. Right.
Because that's not my place. Plus, I have never been told other than I knew mom was going to have cancer in February of last year. Because I remember I told you.
Yes.
I got the C word, I got cancer, and I got hospice.
Right.
And so we found out, once we got the hospice gives you this wonderful book that kind of puts into perspective how much time someone has left by their symptoms.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
And when we got that book, February, when I got hospice and cancer, I looked at the time frame, and she already had cancer at that point.
Yeah, she did.
She'd already had cancer for a little while by her symptoms by that point.
Right.
So that was spirit letting me know. That was spirit preparing me. So that didn't come from Psychic Susie, or it came from me communicating with my spirit guides, and they were preparing me. And I, of course, communicated it with Kim.
Yep. Because
we share our psychic hits that we get just to kind of like get some affirmation.
Right.
And sometimes I get stuff, but I knew immediately when I got those hits that it was pertaining to mom. It didn't say mom. It didn't say, hey, your mom. It just was cancer and hospice.
Yeah.
Well, okay. It helped me prepare better. I don't know if it helped you at all.
It did.
But it helped me prepare. It was spirit letting me know, hey, it's okay. This is going to happen, and it's okay.
Yep.
It wasn't scaring me. It wasn't, because we knew she wasn't acting right. We knew her appetite was changing drastically, and we could tell that she was losing weight.
Right. Yeah, definitely.
And she was in pain all the time. So we knew something wasn't right, and the spidey senses were going off like crazy anyway.
They were.
So, this was spirit's way of just saying it's okay. Now, nobody came up to me on the street and said, I have to tell you this, blah, 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 and give me bad news.
Yeah.
So when you do a reading, you want to be honest with the reader, or with the person you're reading for, but you also have to have some decorum.
Yeah, that is important.
And you want to take out, we covered ego earlier in the last episode, and you want to take ego out of your reading, because if it's somebody that certain aspects of their life because you know them.
Right.
So don't come in with ego going, oh, this is what I'm getting. And it's like, so you already knew that. You already knew that. That's not a big deal. So you need to be more listen and really get what you're getting. What am I interpreting off this card?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So actually reading for your friends and trying to do stuff that you don't already know is a great exercise.
Oh, yeah.
Because you're kind of putting...
I could see that would really Yeah, I could see where that would really help you develop
Yeah.
your abilities in that. Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said earlier, and you don't want to share everything you get, because if you just got a psychic hit on something very, very personal and you work with this person, do you really want to share that with them? And then now it's awkward at work?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know, and if I got something that, oh, your marriage is going to fall apart, I'm not going to tell you that, because there's self-will, and you might work stuff out.
That's true. Yeah.
So, what do you think, Kim, about tarot?
Well, I mean, I'm not as afraid of it as I was before.
Because you got blindsided with it.
Because I got blindsided with it. It was shoved in my face. So,
Yes.
And that's truly what it was. You're like, here.
Well, I knew,
like, what?
I knew you would have gotten all worked up
Mm-hmm.
if you knew it was coming.
Yes, most likely.
Because it's one, Kim doesn't take change well.
I do not.
Yeah. And so, you would have fretted about it until the actual reading. And then that could have changed the reading.
Yeah, it could have. Because I would have put up blocks and everything else that I tend to do when I don't want to face something. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm not suggesting that you go out there and do that. I just knew I could do it to Kim, and she would understand after the fact.
Yeah.
Now, there is a theory that you're not supposed to go out and buy your own tarot cards, that they're supposed to be gifted to you. Now, my philosophy was, well, I bought it from Amazon and they gifted it to me because they delivered it. So none of my oracle cards or tarot cards have been actually gifted to me. Because, like going, hey, Kim, for Christmas, can I have some tarot cards? Kim would have been like, I have no idea what you want.
Yeah. And I would have been looking at it going,
Yeah.
Which ones? I mean, come
And
on.
And then do I want to open that Christmas day with the family?
Yeah. Yeah, that one too.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, have to, I think it's totally fine to pick out your own tarot cards and your oracle cards. I've done that myself. I've had no issues with them. They've worked good for me. Mm-hmm. But if you are of that belief, then you may have to go with a friend and give them the money and have them hand them to you. I don't know. I just feel like...
Or have them order them for you, send them gift wrapped through Amazon to you. And then
you could do that.
You've gifted them. They've been gifted to you then.
Yes. So it's whatever you feel. I don't know what's right or wrong in that. There is tarot etiquette, and some people take it very, very seriously. So I did want to point that out, that there is a belief that they're supposed to be gifted to you. I don't have a tarot mentor. I don't have anyone in this area that does tarot that I'm familiar with. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be very difficult to have them gifted.
Right, exactly.
And then when you start looking at tarot cards online, it's like, oh my gosh. I've got 2 sets of tarot cards. I have, I think, 3 oracle cards, sets of oracle cards. I've got one that's a Native American oracle card, because I have friends that are Native American. Mm-hmm. And so if they want a reading, I've got a deck of cards that we could do that for.
Right.
I don't use those for everybody. But just so you do what you feel and what you're confident in doing on whether or not you need them gifted to you because you want to follow that recommendation. Or if you're just confident you'd go with Amazon delivered them to me. So they were given to me by Amazon after I paid for them. Yeah. So you could look at it either way. And you don't have to have the fancy foiled tarot cards. I just wanted them. I was drawn to them. I love the artwork on them. I like I said, I do have the Rider-Waite deck as well.
That's cool.
I have yet to use it. I keep it in the box. I don't know why. It's like, no, I gotta use the foil ones. I keep it. I'm like, I'm not keeping it for good. So I'm gonna have to break them out and cleanse them and start using them too.
Well, whenever it feels right.
Right.
Yeah.
So this was, I think, I was trying not to make it overwhelming. So I do apologize if it came out a little overwhelming. There's just so much about tarot.
Oh, there is.
This is going to obviously be an hour episode. And I didn't even dive into the whole tarot thing because I didn't want to make some of you fall asleep, because if it's not your thing, you're going to be like, oh my gosh, that's incredibly boring. Plus, it's so much to learn, and you need to if you're drawn to tarot, I mean, I did Oracle first because I wasn't too, so I started with Oracle. And then when I got more confident with Oracle cards, then I'm going to get that tarot book. And I got the tarot book before I got the tarot cards because I wanted to learn
Right.
what tarot was
Yeah.
before I invested in the deck of cards,
That makes
So,
sense. Yeah.
But so
Yeah.
So I hope this episode was helpful. I hope that you give tarot a look and see if it's something that resonates with you. I'm confident Kim's never going to buy a tarot deck at this point in her life.
You never know. I may surprise people. Who knows? But not today.
And you may get a deck for Christmas. You may get a deck for Christmas.
We'll see.
Oh, how quick that
right.
went away.
Yeah. So anyway, we hope you enjoyed this episode of Psychic Bent. Our next episode, I think we're going to be covering the Oracle cards, which I hope to discuss. Get rid of that
Well,
fear.
I'm sure you will discuss. Yeah.
I will.
Now, let's preface that remark. I use my Psychic Toolbox more than Kim does.
Yes, you do.
Because we're just at different places in our development.
Right.
So it's not like, there's no right or wrong here. It's just that I'm in a different place.
Exactly.
So this was a great opportunity for Kim to get comfortable with the other tools that are in the actual toolbox.
It is. Yeah. I did a lot of learning and I really enjoyed it.
Well, good.
Yep.
I'm glad.
So then our next episode will be on Oracle cards.
Thanks, everybody, for listening. Bye.
Bye. May your light shine bright.
Thank you so much for listening to our podcast, Psychic Bent. If you enjoyed Psychic Bent, please like, follow, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to podcasts. We can be reached on Facebook at Psychic Bent Podcast. Our email address is psychicbent1@gmail.com. May your light shine bright.